Hello my dear students. So today I am going to start next topic, that is exception to the law of supply. Okay, we have already done that. Law of supply states that other things remaining constant, when the price of a commodity increases, quantity supply increases, and when price decreases, quantity supply also increases. When price decreases, quantity supply also decreases. So here it shows the positive, okay, price quantity supply. So it shows the positive relationship, and due to that positive relationship the shape of the supply curve is upward sloping. But in the case of these exceptions, the supply curve may not be upward sloping, it may take the different shape. Okay, so there are the two cases. One is vertical supply curve, okay, that is the first exception, and the second exception is backward bending supply curve. So we will discuss one by one. First we have vertical supply curve. Okay, so here the shape of supply curve may not be upward sloping, it may be a vertical line. Okay, I will show it with the help of diagram. Suppose this is quantity supply, this axis is price axis, this is our origin. Now especially in the case of rare items, okay, rare items like maybe old manuscripts, classical paintings, old coins, what happens that the supply will remain fixed, the supply cannot be changed. And suppose say the supply, let's take example of Mona Lisa painting. Okay, Mona Lisa painting, now supply of this Mona Lisa painting is suppose say a 1. Okay, so whatever may be the price, you pay P1, or you pay the price P2, or pay price P3, the supply will remain fixed. Okay, so in the case of Mona Lisa painting, the original painting is only 1. Whatever may be the price, okay, whatever may be the price of that painting, the supply is fixed. Similarly in the case of that Shivaji sword, okay, that sword, original sword is 1, and the price, whatever price you pay, the supply will remain fixed. So in the case of vertical supply curve, the supply will remain fixed and the price may vary, but quantity cannot be changed. That's why it is called vertical supply curve, and that is one of the exceptions to the law of supply. We can take another case also, especially in the case of agricultural item. For that particular product and in that particular season, the supply cannot be increased. Okay, whatever may be the item, for example we can consider paddy also. For particular season, whatever the production will takes place, that will be the supply of paddy. Okay, we cannot increase the supply after 10 or 15 days. Okay, in order to increase again, we have to wait for certain time period, we have to plant first, then minimum 3-4 months we have to wait, then only we can add more quantity and supply can be increased. So here in the case of vertical supply curve, the supply will remain fixed, that is whatever may be the quantity. If it is 1, then it will remain 1. If the quantity supply is fixed as 2, then it will remain 2. So that is also one of the exceptions to the law of supply. Okay, second exceptions we have backward bending supply curve. So supply curve may take another shape, it may take backward slope, but this is applicable in the case of labor supply. When the wage rate is very high, the working hour may be less, okay, or the supply of labor may be less. So for here we can see that, suppose say the wage of labor is W1. Okay, we are taking the case of this labor supply, okay, that is expressed in the terms of working hour. So when the wage rate of labor is OW1, we can see that the working hour of labor is OT1. Working hour is OT1. That means working hour is more. But when the wage rate of labor increases from W1 to W2, okay, when wage rate increases from OW1 to OW2, we can see that the working time period of that labor is decreasing from OT1 to OT, okay, OT2. So here when we see that the wage rate of the workers is increasing per hour, the working hour of the labor will become shorter. So here the time period of working hour is decreasing from OT1 to OT2 because of that increase in wage from OW1 to OW2. So here this backward bending supply curve is applicable in the case of labor supply, okay, and that is expressed in the terms of working hour and the wage rate. Means if the workers are getting higher wages per hour, then his desire to spend the leisure time with family will be more. He will work for less time period and more time he can spend with his family, relative, with his kids and so on. So here if the wage rate is high, the working hour will be less and the remaining time period he wants to spend with his family members. Okay. But if the wage rate is very less, then his tendency will be there to work for longer hours. Suppose say when the wage rate is only OW1, we can see that he is working for more time period. When wage rate is only OW1, he is working for more time period because he has to earn more income to run his family. Okay, next topic we have movement along the supply curve. Okay, movement along the supply curve. So when quantity supplied of commodity increases or decreases due to only change in its price, but other things remaining constant, then that concept is known as movement along the supply curve. Once again listen, when the quantity supply of a commodity, when quantity supply changes means maybe increases or decreases. Changes means increases or decreases with change in price. Okay, with change in price may be increasing or decreasing. The price may increase or decrease, but other things remaining same is called movement along the supply curve. So here quantity supply may increase or may decrease, but only due to change in its price, and the other factor will not change. Input prices will remain same, goals of the producers or the objective of the producers will remain same. Okay, technology will not change. Here the quantity supply may increase or decrease due to only change in its price, maybe increase in price or maybe a decrease in price. So that concept is called movement along the supply curve. Now this movement along the supply curve is also known as extension of supply and contraction of supply. So this can be classified into movement along the supply curve can be classified into two parts. One is called extension of supply and the second one we have contraction of supply. So this extension and contraction of supply can be explained with the help of a diagram also. Now price, here quantity supplied, this is our origin. Now suppose say this is the initial supply curve. S is the initial supply curve, and let's consider P is the initial price. So at price P, suppose say quantity supply is Q. Okay, quantity supply is Q. Now when the price of a commodity increases from P to P1, when the price of a commodity increases from P to P1, we can see that the quantity supplied is also increasing from Q to Q1. Okay. So initial price is P and the quantity supply is OQ. Okay. Now when the price of commodity increases, it can be any item. When the price of commodity increases from OP to OP1, we can see that the quantity supplied is increasing from OQ to OQ1. So this is the case of extension of supply. Okay. Now how this extension of supply is taking place? Extension of supply takes place due to a rise in price. Here price is increasing and due to that extension of supply is taking place. Now we will take the another example of this contraction of supply. So once again, this is our quantity supply, this is our price axis. Suppose this is our initial supply is S, okay, and initial price we have suppose say P. So at price P, quantity supply is Q. Now when the price of commodity falls from P to suppose say P1, when the price is decreasing from suppose say this P to P1, here the price is decreasing. Now due to that decrease in price, we can see that the quantity supply is decreasing from OQ to OQ1. So here the quantity supply of commodity is decreasing from OQ to OQ1 due to fall in price. So this concept is called contraction of supply. We can see this one as contraction of supply. Here the other factor is not changing at all, other factor is remaining constant. And what are that other factor? Goals of the producers, technology, input prices, government taxation and subsidy, and so on. So these all factors are remaining constant. So this is the case of extension of supply, and this one is contraction of supply. Okay, next concept we have shift of the supply curve. So when quantity supplied of a commodity changes, increases or decreases due to change in the other factor, okay, but here the price of a commodity will remain same, the price of a commodity will not change. So once when the quantity supplied of a commodity increases or decreases due to change in other factors and the price of a commodity is remaining same, then that concept is called shift of the supply curve. So here the quantity supply will change increases or decreases due to change in other factors, due to change of other factors. And what are that other factors? Other factors like input prices, goals of the producers, technology, improvement in technology, government taxation, policy, etc. But here what will remain same? The price of commodity, the price of a commodity will remain same. Once again, what is shift in supply? Shift in supply means when the quantity supplied of a commodity increases or decreases due to change in other factor, due to change in this factor, input prices, goals of the producers, technology, taxation policy, but the price of a commodity will remain same. This will not change. Okay. So when the quantity supply increases or decreases due to change in all these factors, then that is called shift of the supply curve. Okay. Here the price of a commodity will remain same. It will not change. Now the shift of supply curve is also classified into two types. We have increase in supply and decrease in supply. Okay. this shift of supply curve is also divided in two parts. One is called increase in supply, and the other one we have decrease in supply. Now I will explain this increase in supply and decrease in supply with the help of diagram. So first let's take, this is our quantity supply, this is our price axis, this is our origin. Now let's take, this is our supply curve, S. Okay, S is the initial supply curve, and the price of commodity we have P. P is the initial price. At price P, suppose say quantity supply is Q. Now when the other factor changes, when input price decreases, okay, when input price decreases, obviously what will happen, the cost of factors of production will decrease, the cost of production will decrease, and when cost of production decreases, the profit margin of the producers will increase, and when profit margin increases, the supply of a commodity will increase. So when the input price decreases, the supply of commodity is increasing from, suppose say S to, suppose say S1, okay. Now supply of commodity is increasing from S1 to S1. So at the same price, we can see that at the same price P, the quantity supply may increase from Q to Q1. So here the quantity supply of a commodity is increasing due to change in input prices or maybe some other factors of production. Suppose say if the government is reducing the rate of taxation, and when the government reduces tax from 10% to, suppose say 5%, then what will happen? Obviously the profit margin of the producers will increase, and when profit margin increases, the producers will be willing to supply more, and when they are willing to supply more, the supply curve will shift rightward, okay, the supply curve will shift rightward direction. So due to that, our new supply curve is S1. So we can see that at the same price OP, the quantity supply is increasing from OQ to OQ1. So this is the case of increase in supply. Similarly, we can take the another case also, the case of this decrease in supply. Here we have quantity supply, this side we have price, origin. Now let's take initial supply curve S, okay, and the initial price we have P. So at price P, the quantity supply is, suppose say Q. Now when the government, instead of decreasing the rate of taxation, if the government increases the rate of taxation from 10% to, suppose say 15%, or we can consider the another factor or another case also, instead of decreasing the input price, if the input price has gone up, so if the input price increases, the cost of production increases, and when cost of production increases, the supply of a commodity will decrease, and when supply of commodity decreases, the supply curve will shift leftward. So due to that, suppose say supply curve is shifting leftward, okay, supply curve is shifting leftward. Now we have new supply curve S1. So what we can notice that at the same price OP, the quantity supply of commodity is decreasing from OQ to OQ1. So this is the case of decrease in supply. Once again listen, this decrease in supply takes place due to change in other factor, not because of price. Here we can see that in both the cases the price is not changing, price is remaining same. Here the quantity supply is decreasing due to change in other factor, due to rise in a taxation policy, due to increase in the input prices. What is happening? The cost of production is increasing, and due to increase in cost of production, the supply curve is shifting leftward. So here the quantity supply is decreasing at the same price. So this is the case of decrease in supply. Now next one we have increase in supply. So we have seen that if if the quantity supply of commodity increases due to change in other factor, suppose say input price is decreasing, the rate of taxation is reduced by the government, so in that case the profit margin will increase, and due to that supply curve will shift rightward. Okay, so due to that supply curve is shifting rightward, and we can see that at the same price OP, the quantity supply is increased from OQ to OQ1. So this is the case of increase in supply. Okay, this is the difference between increase in supply and decrease in supply.